We need our lives back. It's not about vaccine, it's about our lives.
Does freedom come at all costs for you?
Yes, it does.
Even if people die?
Who's dying?
Okay, that's where it is.
My 10-year-old doesn't know what the truth is because of people like you.
I believe everything that the Convoy stands for, and it's time to get on with it. Thank you very much.
The Convoy stands for?
Well, did you read their memorandum of understanding?
The truckers' manifesto in part states that the convoy plans to arrive in our nation's capital with plans to replace the government.
Ron, you're going all the way to Ottawa?
Yes, sir.
Ron Bennett drove 2 hours from Midland, Ontario, to join the convoy in Vaughan.
What do you hope to achieve in Ottawa?
Whatever it has to be done, has to be done. Want our life back.
To the Premier, just following up on this truck protest, we've heard your comments on the vaccine mandate itself, but I guess I have a question about the method of this protest. Is a convoy of truckers an appropriate approach when we have empty store shelves and other supply chain disruptions right now?
That is a great question for the Prime Minister of Canada and his government. As this is their policy that is being reacted to, I would encourage all to, in whatever method they're choosing, to ensure they are following all of the laws and regulations that ultimately are in place, which I'm sure transport drivers are well versed with, and they will be as they do that each and every day. But that is a great question for our federal government. Is this policy actually going to in any way produce any tangible results, or is it just going to essentially have a negative result in us not being able to access the goods and services that truckers bring to our community each and every day, understanding that the vast majority of these individuals are already vaccinated, and understanding that they have been operating throughout this pandemic, even at the most trying times when we saw some incredibly large case numbers in the early days of COVID south of the border. It was our truckers that crossed that border day in, day out, and brought us back our vegetables, our goods and services that we needed in a very trying time in this pandemic. It was our truckers that were the courageous ones that went prior to vaccines, prior to any of the tools that we do have available ultimately here today. So I think there's a much better path forward. Maybe it's one of some dialogue between the federal government and our respective trucking associations, and one I would hope that respects what our truckers have done for us here in this province and done for us as Canadians, not only throughout this pandemic but in general. And so I hope everyone is following all of the rules and regulations that are in place, but ultimately what we're seeing is a reaction to an unnecessary federal government's policy.
Well, what I think is interesting is that when there's a left-wing protest on Parliament Hill, we don't see the Liberal media going through every single name of the people who attends to try and find one person that they can disparage the whole group with. We don't see CBC, for example, has been accused by its own employees of systemic racism. And yet we don't see the media here generalize that everyone who works at the CBC is a racist. Whenever you have 5,000 or 10,000 people who are part of any group, you're bound to have a number who have or say unacceptable things. And they should be individually responsible for the things they say and do. But that doesn't mean we disparage the thousands of hardworking, law-abiding, and peaceful truckers who quite frankly have kept all of you alive the last 2 years by filling your grocery shelves with the food that you eat and filling your homes with the products that you rely upon. So I think that it is possible to hold individually responsible anyone who says or does anything unacceptable, while showing support for the hardworking, law-abiding, peace-loving truckers who are fighting for their freedom and their livelihoods, and on whom we have depended for our very existence. over the last 2 years.
Est-ce que ça vous dérange justement que ces gens-là, ces extrémistes-là, se rallient un peu à la cause qui est noble selon vous?
Pardon?
Ça vous dérange-tu que ces gens...
I'll be supporting the truckers.
How will you support them?
I don't know exactly where, because I don't know exactly how this whole thing is going to be organized. I'm not in touch with any of the organizers, but I'm going to look for an opportunity to bring coffee and support and friendship for peaceful, law-abiding, hardworking, freedom-loving truckers who have kept my family and yours alive throughout this pandemic by putting food on our table. Thank you.